everybody. Welcome. Hey, happy Sunday, everybody. Hope everybody's doing really well today. I'm really happy to see you guys here. Today's show number 100, guys. I could hardly believe it. It's been 100 shows. I can't believe it. I mean, honestly, I think overall, I've been really enjoying having these live Sunday shows with you guys. I totally look forward to it. For me, it's something at the end of the week that I always have in my mind, and I always look forward to. And you guys have made it super fun. And I believe the first show I ever did was back in 2018. 2018. That's 4 years ago, man. I've been doing these live shows for 4 years. But honestly, it's a labor of love, guys, and I really appreciate you guys tuning in. You guys have become like family to me, man. You know, I can always look forward to seeing you guys here, and just looking forward to talking to everybody. So thank you for joining me. I hopefully we can celebrate this 100th show together today in the usual fashion, talking about gear. For those of you that are new, welcome, and hopefully we can see more and more new faces as time goes on. If you're new here, basically, as the others already know, we just meditate on gear. That's what we do here on Addicted to Gear. We talk about gear, we talk about acquisitions, we talk about new stuff coming out, we talk about guitars, we talk about multi-effects units, the whole 9 yards. So if any of you have joined for the first time and you have any kind of guitar related questions or music related questions in general, this is the right place to ask. Consider this your support group for gear addiction, but we're not responsible if you go out and buy something and, you know, get into a spat with the wife. There's a disclaimer somewhere at the bottom of this video. We're not responsible for any kind of arguments or divorces, okay? Just so that we can get that out of the way. That's the legal disclaimer I'm forced to put out there. So welcome everybody. Good morning. Nice to see everyone here. Keith, good morning. Jack Collins, Vox, Guitar Rock, Alan. Who else is here? Wayne, if I repeat your name twice, sorry, I have a very short memory. Paul's here. Good morning, Paul. I'll say good morning as time goes on at everybody that I come across and ask questions. As you ask questions, I'll say good morning to you. Jeff, good morning as well. So Jeff says, congratulations on the 100th episode, Tony. It's my grandson's 5th birthday today, so I might have to jump in and out. No problem, Jeff. Give your grandson a huge hug from all of us here. Wish him a very happy 5th birthday. Hopefully he has a fantastic day. Gets to blow out the candles and open up, tear apart those gifts. 5 is a big number. 5 is a big number. Actually, my daughter's birthday was yesterday. My daughter Leah, who is my firstborn, she's actually turning 23. So that makes me feel very old. But I want to wish her a fantastic birthday. I wasn't able to give her a birthday hug in person yesterday because she's away for the weekend, celebrating her birthday like a 23-year-old should. And she'll be back tonight, and we'll be celebrating with the family. And I'll give her a happy birthday hug and a kiss, and we'll do the whole birthday thing tonight with her. And I'm looking forward to doing that. Time flies, man. 100th show. 23 years my little baby was born, and things are moving forward. So I hope everybody's doing really well out there. 23, you know. Do you guys remember when you were 23, man? I remember when I was 23. Nothing hurt. That's how I remember my 23rd year on this little ball hurling across the universe. 23 years. Those were good times, gotta say. Vox Guitars Rock says, don't feel old, Tony. My son turns 35 this year. Hey, man, you know, these are things we have to be proud of, right? Our kids, they'll be here to carry on once we're gone. But, you know, 35 years on this planet is something to begin to really be proud of. I'm sure you're proud of your son as well. Our kids are always the most important things in our lives, so definitely we want to spoil them when their birthdays come around. Fat Philosopher says she has the same birthday as Oprah. I didn't know that. Fun fact for the day. I'll tell her that, Fat Philosopher. Maybe she knows. I don't know. I don't think she knows. She's not a huge Oprah fan. She's a little too young for that. But I'll let her know. Definitely has the drive of Oprah. I'm telling you, man. My daughter is an A-type personality at the max. She, she sets her mind on something and she goes out and does it, regardless of anyone else. So I don't know if she got that from me or from the wife. Probably from the wife. I'm not sure. Maybe from me. But I think that's a great characteristic to have, because she definitely knows how to focus on what she wants and go out and get it. So I'm sure she'll be very successful in life no matter what she ends up doing. And I look forward to being there to support her along the way. Let's see here. Cohen, you gave me a super chat. Thank you, buddy. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So kind of you. Everybody here is like really awesome, I have to say. Guys, as part of the 100th show. Oh, Jeff, you too. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Jeff says, congratulations on 100. Tony, this is a great channel and a fantastic community. Ozian said, thank Granddad's guitar friend. Oh, cute. Cute. Thank you. I hope he's watching. I'm going to say happy birthday. Happy birthday, Ozian. Cute. That's really sweet. I got distracted. Sorry. I was saying, first of all, thank you for that, guys. Not necessary, but appreciated. This is a 100th show, so as a give back to the community that we have established here, and hopefully this community will grow. As I mentioned, last week was a very emotional time for me, but I mentioned one show or two shows back that on the 100th show we'd be giving away a prize or something to. So as I mentioned, I wanted to give away this new X MG300. I'll send this out to a lucky winner. And with this, I'll give you guys a personalized letter of thanks from me. And if you guys don't know about this little unit, this unit is really great, man. I have to say, new X, in terms of sounds, really knocked it out of the park with this little thing. And it's sort of a sleeper multi-effects unit, because a lot of people don't know about this unit and how great it sounds. And because it's inexpensive, I mean, compared to, an Axe Effects or something like that, sometimes it's overlooked. But I really enjoy the sounds in this little unit. And the added advantage is that you're going to get sounds that I programmed in the unit as well. So you won't necessarily have to program all of the multi-effect sounds from scratch. So now, how are we going to give away this unit? That's the big question. So I've been meditating on that a little bit, because, there's never one perfect way to do a giveaway. So I'm thinking this is what we'll do. I'm probably I'll put a little video together announcing the giveaway for this unit, okay? And as part of that, I'll also mention that the winner will be announced next Sunday. So I'll give everyone a week's notice to sort of join in for the giveaway. And it's going to be something very simple. All you have to do is subscribe. Most of you here are already subscribed. So subscribe, like the video. And then when we hit a certain number of likes or subscriptions, I haven't decided which one it's going to be yet. Let's say 100 or 200 or whatever. At that point, I'll draw like a random number and I'll go down the list and I'll select a winner and I'll announce it on the show. Okay, but will officially be announced on the next video that I'm gonna release. But you guys are getting advanced warning on that, because you guys are here every Sunday, and I hope one of you guys wins. I really do. It's a great little unit. So Quicksilver has a question here, and he says, MG300 versus the MG30, what are your thoughts? Well, good question, Quicksilver, and a good segue to this sound. Might be a little hot. This sound coming from my PRS, this is the core model, which I take out from time to time, is actually being pumped through the MG300 right now. I typically use, or I've been using, the Ampero 2 Stomp, which is also another really great effects unit. But the MG300, what's the difference? I think the sounds on the MG30 are a little bit better than the other one. You definitely have a little bit more flexibility in terms of what you can do with the unit. And the MG30 is built in a more durable fashion than the MG300. That being said, I still think the MG300 has some really great sounds. So I would say the main difference between the MG300 and the MG30, apart from the cost, is the way it's put together and the fact that the MG300 to me is more of like something that you would keep indoors in your studio and you know, play with to record and whatnot at home, whereas the MG30 is gig worthy. It's built to take on the road, and I'm gonna do a review on the MG30. I've been actually recording that today, where I'm showing how to build some sounds on it, but I'm gonna do a full review of the unit as well. Great unit. I think both Nuex as well as Hotone have come out with some really great quality multi-effects units, and I'll probably eventually also do a review comparing the Ampero 2 Stomp with the MG30 side by side. It's really a toss-up. It's hard to decide which one to go with, but they're all great choices for different reasons, and I'll try and outline that in the video review if I can. And Vox Guitar Rock says, someone will win a multi-effects unit with usable sounds as received. Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, right? To have some great sounds. All of the multi-effects units that I've tried in the past, regardless of cost, I've tried, you know, Headrush unit, for example, which it was well above $1,600. Less expensive units, Boss units, all kinds of stuff. And overall, I think that they all of them, A to Z, need some tweaking. So no matter how good you think the sounds are, they might not be to your taste. And, you know, tweaking a guitar sound in a multi-effects unit, it's not that complicated because you always start from a bass sound and then you go from there. And oftentimes you'll realize that a lot of the sounds are very similar. They're not that different. So if you have, for example, a really good drive sound, like maybe a ZZ Top type tone, that tone will probably require just slight modifications or slight tweaking to get to be able to be used for other sounds out there as well. So, you know, it's a great way to build a nice repertoire of sounds. Rico says, congratulations, Tony. Thank you, Rico. 100 shows. You should celebrate and come visit Arizona. It was 72 Fahrenheit yesterday. Honestly, Rico, I think if it was 72, I'd probably melt. No, actually, I wouldn't melt. 22 is great, actually. It's a beautiful temperature. I'd love to come to Arizona. I'd love to come to visit. Arizona is definitely on my bucket list. I think my wife and I would love it. And Arizona is one place that I would really like to go. San Francisco is another place. Actually, I haven't been yet. So that's something I would like to do relatively soon. Except I'm sure Arizona has better temperature than San Francisco. Thank you, Luis. He says, Fiesta time, 100th show. Thank you. Let's just go down the list here. Paul says, in the 70s, my band Talus had a roadie who worked with Tall. The guitarist changed his plain strings every day, but threw out the wound strings, which then I got from Scott. Ah, interesting. Talus, that tells me something, Paul. I know a band named Talus back in the day. And Fat Philosopher says, I had a little surprise today. PRS contacted me on Instagram, head of quality control. Nice. So, Fat Philosopher, why did they contact you? Did you have a complaint, or did you have a question, or not sure. I might have forgotten what the issue was and why they're contacting you. So, give me an update on that. Refresh my memory, please. Thank you, Gear Junkie. Thank you for wishing me the 100th. 100th show, man. It's hard to believe. I wouldn't have thought I'd be doing the live shows this long, honestly. But I gotta say, you guys keep me going. When I get discouraged, or I put up a video that I've spent a lot of time on, and doesn't get as many views compared to something that's sort of trending and popular for no reason. It's a little discouraging at times, but these shows keep me going, and I do it for the love. I don't do it necessarily for the recognition. It's more for the love and sharing information with you guys. And so there's a reason why I have this guitar. Let me just lower the volume. Maybe a little. I don't know if you guys remember. I don't know if you guys remember, but the reason why I was taking this guitar out today, I was considering swapping these pickups, and I actually wanted to put in a new set of pickups for this guitar. And last week I mentioned the pickups I was looking at putting in there. These pickups right here from a company called Noax. These are classic pickups, beautiful looking pickups, and I'm sure they're going to sound awesome. So I was considering putting them in this guitar, but I thought about it and I said to myself, wait a minute, maybe it might be better for me to actually put those pickups in the SE, because I have a 245. This is the core model, but I also have an SE. So I thought that would be a better idea, so I can put it in the SE, and we can do a side-by-side shootout at that point with this guitar and the SE, and see which one actually sounds better. So the core model with the stock pickups, or the SE with upgraded pickups. And I think that would be an interesting video. What do you guys think? I think it would give me a little bit more of an ability to actually A/B the sounds as well, because as if you switch the pickups in a guitar like this, your ears don't have a memory, right? It's really difficult to remember what the sound was that you were hearing in your head unless you're A/Bing it. It's very difficult. So that way I can do a video on both of them and A/B and see which one actually sounds better. And then at the end of the day, that maybe those pickups will stay in the SE, the SC. Maybe I'll switch them over. I'm not really sure. But that's the idea. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. So Fat Philosopher, so the issue was, he told them I once tried to order a PRS, but they didn't carry purple for lefties. Okay, so are they making a special purple lefty model for you now, Fat Philosopher? Did you talk to Paul himself? Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I really like the sound of this guitar. The pickups, I mean, they do sound good, I have to say. The reverse knobs always throw me off, because on this guitar the volume are here and the tones here. But if I put the bridge, the neck pickup. Sounds good to me. I don't play this guitar often enough. This is a guitar that I actually bought sight unseen on YouTube, on eBay. It's a 10 top. I bought this quite a few years ago. This is an older model, but I love the flame. I love the finish, and I dread the day I chip this guitar. I really do. This is one of the reasons why I don't often take it out for playing, because I really don't want to ding it, man. I'm okay with, you know, road worn guitars. I'm okay with guitars that have buckle rash and all that kind of stuff, but it's always the first ding that gets you, right? And a beautiful guitar like this, that's basically flawless, I would hate to ding. And this guitar, like naive as I was, I ordered it sight unseen on eBay, and I'm glad I did. I got it for a really good price at the time, and you know, it could have came and it could have been a dud. The neck could have been warped or something, but it was perfect. And like I always say, some guitars find you, you know, and this was one of those guitars, I have to say. Let's see here. Let me just go back. Oh, my dog is snoring so heavily. It's me, Don P. Thank you on the 100th. The 100th. Congrats. Thank you very much. All right. I'm just scrolling back a little bit here. Vox Guitar says, lots of Silver Sky hype all over. Thought on if they are worth the hype and thoughts. My thoughts. Okay, yes, I do have thoughts, of course. I think every day. I try to think at least once a day. Yeah, look, you know, it's a new thing. Everybody gets dazzled by the latest new shiny thing, in my opinion. And that is definitely, you know, a shiny thing that has a whole lot of hype around it. I mean, I personally feel that the difference in sound that you're going to get from a Silver Sky, an original Silver Sky, and the SE might not be as drastic as you think, you know. And honestly, if you would upgrade the pickups to the same type of pickups that are in the American model, probably even less. So is the Silver Sky, the original Silver Sky, worth the money? You know, I don't, Silver Sky or not, I mean, I'm talking Silver Sky here, but regardless of whether or not it's a Silver Sky, we can be talking about a Silver Sky, a PRS, a Sur guitar, a Friedman guitar, you name your brand, okay? I don't think, unless the guitar is rare, I don't think, you know, spending $3,500, you know, for in Canada, some of these guitars, that's how much they cost, necessarily buys you a better sounding guitar. A lot of people might disagree with me on that, and you know, we can talk about this all day long. That being said, I think that any guitar that's less expensive and is built well is always a better value in my book. If I was to choose between a Silver Sky and a regular, let's say an import model, I'd probably, with my budget and, you know, the amount of playing I do, for me, I would probably end up getting the Silver Sky, because the import model, because I don't feel like I would ever want to spend that kind of money on a guitar. Even this guitar, which now, you know, if you look at how much they cost today, they're pretty darn expensive. I didn't pay this guitar what they're worth, what it's worth today, and I probably wouldn't buy one unless it was really something that I felt like it was going to be a keeper for life. I wouldn't necessarily spend that kind of money. My budget, my limit. Oh, it's hard to say. I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole here, but I'm gonna say, like, my budget or limit for a guitar would be $2,600 today. That's really if, you know, I really had a hard-on for that particular guitar. But anything above that gets a little bit hard to justify. I've tried a lot of other guitars, other guitar brands that don't cost as much, that you can get used for a fraction of the cost, that sound amazing. So how much more sound improvement will you get by spending more money on a guitar? It's debatable, man. So I don't want to start, arguing the point, but that's my opinion. And you guys could, voice your opinion as well. But Vox says, Tony, if swapping pickups on that PRS, you can reach out to Dylan Talks Tone channel. He told me he would be willing to do a collab and Wines pickups. Cool. Well, thank you, Vox. Yeah, maybe I'll reach out to Dylan. Why not? For sure. And maybe we can do a collab show. That would be fun. I'm always willing to do shows with other people and share opinions. As a matter of fact, we're going to have a special guest coming up on the show. Well, not the live show. It's going to be pre-recorded, but we're going to have something coming up for you guys as well. And it's always around the topic of pickups as well. And Tonefish says, with all of the Silver Sky hype, I bought a Fender American Original 60s Strat in shell pink. Some small tweaks for my setup, and it's crazy good. You can get crazy good Mexican Strats as well. Used, cost you peanuts compared to, something like a Silver Sky or a PRS. And I've had some crazy good sounding guitars come my way. Don't underestimate a guitar, because honestly, sometimes the guitar that you feel might not resonate with you at all ends up being your number one, And there's a lot of guitars that I've tried over the years that I really wanted to like, and I just didn't like. I've mentioned that over and over again on this show. So you got to try them. You got to give yourself time to experiment with them in the studio, recording live, and see which ones are easy to play. This one I love because the neck plays like butter, man. It's amazingly easy to play. Let me try getting a different sound here. I don't know what I got here. Let me see. Do a cleaner sound. A little bit too much delay on that one. Let me just go down a couple of sounds. What about this one? This one has some chorus. Put a little louder. I know some of you like the clean sounds. I think it's a little bit low there, but it might be a little bit too low. And then we got a little bit of a blues lead sound here. I don't know if you can hear it on. I don't know if it's coming through on the sound, but the pickups have a little bit of squawk to them, which I like. And that's how I judge a good pickup, is if I can get that squawk out of it. Even a humbucker. I don't like overly fat humbuckers. Quicksilver says, and he's answering Fat Philosopher, was a huge Silver Chair fan when they first broke out. Daniel Jones' Green PRS is what made me fall in love with everything PRS. The inlays, the carves, the shape, etc. Yeah, it's a good point. I never thought about that, actually. I never gave that some thought. What actually turned me on to PRS? Not really sure. Probably Santana, because I think he was one of the biggest artists that they had at the very beginning. But I never liked the Santana model. I don't like the double cuts. For me, it's got to be a single cut. I don't know why, but I don't know if it's subliminally the Les Paul thing, but I'm a big fan of the. Don't give me a double cut on my guitars. Especially the PRSs. And this is not the first PRS core model that I had. I had 22, which I didn't like. And before I actually bought the 22, I had a really, going back to what I said earlier about, really wanting to like a guitar, and then for whatever reason you end up trying it and it doesn't do it for you. The McCarty was one of the PRSs that I was like lusting after. I loved the look of it, and I saw it in the store. I was like looking at it, like deciding whether or not I should save my money to buy one of those. And I finally got a chance to try it. Didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. I don't know why. It just didn't do it for me. But this one just is amazing. So, that's what I mean when I say you really have to be open-minded. Fat Philosopher says, I also told them I didn't appreciate Paul Reed Smith comment that lefties would go extinct. I'm pretty sure he was joking. But yeah, maybe if you told him, Paul's a funny guy. Paul's a funny guy. I like the guitars. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of Paul. He's a very, I think he's very opinionated, and I mean, he deserves to be. It's his company and whatever, but, sometimes I just wish he would listen more than talk. Quicksilver says, I think I agree with you there on the Schecter Nick Johnson. The only thing that slightly puts me off is the inlays. Actually, on the Schecter, I went full painted dots. Dang it. Guys, that brings up a good point. Just like Fat Philosopher doesn't like the birds, and I know other people that don't like the birds as well. I have a friend of mine I worked with for many years, and he didn't like the birds. He always made wise cracks about them and whatnot. But he ended up buying a PRS. Actually did a review of that guitar. I did a shootout between his PRS and mine. This one and his. You'll see it in my channel. The shootout was this one, and it was a red PRS SE. That was his, and he had upgraded the pickups on that guitar as well. And I did a shootout on that. And if you're curious, you can already go and watch that video and just go in my archive and you'll see it there. But a lot of people don't like inlays, and I honestly believe that the inlays really can hurt the sales of a guitar. The good thing is, like in the past, you were able, if you didn't like the birds, you were able to get dots. And actually, you had to pay extra for the birds. Nowadays, they almost all come with birds, and it's really hard to get the dots. They call them moon inlays. But, if somebody like Fat Philosopher likes the PRS and doesn't want the birds, you can get the dots. But I think most people out there nowadays just assume that the birds are, what you should have on there, because more expensive to get the birds, But going back to the inlays, I've not purchased guitars because of inlays. Because I thought they were like weird looking. One company in particular, Ibanez. I liked a lot of their Ibanez guitar models, but I didn't like those, the funny inlays that they had, the lightning bolt style inlays and stuff. I thought that was really cheesy, and I didn't want to have a guitar with those types of inlays on them, so I didn't buy them. At one point, I even considered buying a guitar, an Ibanez, and swapping the neck, because the one I liked had the inlays, and I didn't like the inlays. Actually, I ended up not buying the guitar at all. But I think if Ibanez wants to do themselves a favor, is stop putting those weird inlays on their guitars. Maybe it's just me. Maybe you guys like those inlays. You can pipe in and let me know. But for me, no. Cheese. Keep it simple, Christian, hey Christian, how's it going, buddy? Christian says, put the no wax in the SE is a fantastic idea. What wiring do you want to do? 50 or 60 wiring or something else? I haven't decided yet. I probably would do 50s wiring, just to keep it simple. But I haven't really decided yet. I'm gonna think about that. But I would really like to put those pickups in right away and do the comparison for you guys. I think it would be a really cool idea. I also have the Paul Reed Smith SE Zach Myers version, which is a semi-hollow. But to be fair, I think it would be best to put it in exactly the same model as this one as an SE to be as close to it as possible. The other thing that I mentioned that I want to say about inlays is it really turns me off when a guitar has plastic inlays. It just ruins it for me. And a lot of companies do that, you know, especially when you're buying imports. Mother of toilet bowl, I call it. When the inlay is not real, it doesn't have, you know, the variations. Like these inlays definitely are, you know, real mother of pearl inlays. You can see as it hits the lights and everything. When an inlay is plastic looking, it just turns me off completely. Unfortunately, sometimes you have no choice. That's what they put in there to cut costs. But I wish they would come up with a better looking plastic inlay, if that's what they're gonna do, or at least, you know, even if they're gonna create an overseas model, a less expensive model, keep the inlays, because that, you know, you see that it's like people are looking at your fingers while you're playing. It's hard not to see the inlays when they're cheap like that. BC Rich says PRS is interesting, but he also suffers from the same disorder that many do, in that he thinks proficiency in one field transfers over onto all aspects of society and technology. Good point of view. Good point. I like that opinion. Leo says, so they purposely don't make lefties to force their extinction from guitar playing. That's an interesting, albeit evil way of thinking. Do you think they can actually do that? I don't think so. I think lefties will find a way. Lefties unite. I think. Oh, look at Hendrix. You know, he wasn't able to find a lefty guitar. He fixed it. He took a righty and he switched over. You know, I think if you want to play lefty or not, you're going to find a way. I don't think one person could make any orientation of guitar players extinct. I think that's a funny thing to say, but, you know, interesting thought. Interesting thought. Fat Philosopher says he talked to a woman named Mary. She is in charge of QC on the S2 line. I mean, as at least they're taking the time to talk to you, and you know, other places might not do that. Some are really great at customer support, and others are not. You know, I've had experiences with other companies, which was terrible, and I had amazing experiences with some companies. Sir comes to mind. John Sir personally, you know, sent me an email. He told me what to do when I had a question. I was talking directly to him. It wasn't somebody in QC. It wasn't anybody else. It was John Sir. And he took the time out of his day, and I'm sure he has one or two things to do during the day. He took the time out of his busy day to send me an email explaining the situation, telling me what to do, and reassuring me that if I had any problems with his guitar, he would fix it. And this was probably 10 years after the warranty's up, and it wasn't even a guitar that I bought directly from them. I bought the guitar used. So what does that say about him standing behind his product? So yes, you're paying the guitar a lot of money. I didn't pay it that much money because I bought it used. But if you buy a guitar like that today, you're going to pay it a lot of money. But knowing that someone like John Sir is going to be backing his guitar 100%, you know, an issue with a neck, he'll change the neck. He told me that personally in the email. You know, the issue I had wasn't a very serious issue. It was the truss rod was binding, because the guitar was so good that I hadn't had to change or modify the curvature of the relief on that guitar for so many years that it actually bound up. So if one type of metal touches another type of metal, eventually there could be some type of corrosion or something in there. and it could actually make it stick. And so that's what happened with mine. So when eventually I did have to give it a little tweak, it was kind of hard to turn. And I didn't want to strip the nut. I didn't want to break the truss rod because I was putting quite a bit of force on it. And I called, I emailed, and John responded to me saying, don't worry about it. Crank the shit out of it. You're not going to break the truss rod, you know? And he's like, even if you do, we'll change the neck for you. No questions asked. Imagine. And I explained to him, I said, you know, this guitar is like pretty old. The warranty's up. And I didn't buy it new. And he's like, no problem. He stands behind his stuff. So that's maybe part of the reason why those guitars cost so much. Because he does stand behind them like that. I had to deal with other companies where it was difficult just to get somebody on the line. Just, you know, never mind getting support. Gospel of Mark says, look at the blues. One of his favorite guitars is the SE Lefty Custom 24. Well, yeah, good point. Mark Quicksilver says, I am left-handed. When I put up my guitars for sale, hardly played. The price to sell at 40% off the tag price. They take a bit of time to sell. Again, it's a numbers game, right? I'm sure there's a lot more right-handed people, so I'm not surprised. Fat Philosopher says the most I spent on a guitar was $3,500. My wife's acoustic. There you go. That's a nice gift for your wife. Leo says I'm more of a Fender Charvel ESP guy. Don't know much about Prs. I like Charvels. Some of the older ESPs were really nice. I don't know about the newer ones as much. Fender, of course, yeah, Fender's always there. One of the other companies I want to just mention that I feel gives really good customer service is Friedman. Same thing with Friedman. I had a little question about my amp, my Dirty Shirley, which is over there. I had a question about that amp. Called the shop at Friedman and spoke to him directly. And he reassured me what I needed to do and whatnot. That's one of the things about dealing with shops or companies that might be able to, crank out maybe less guitars, but take more care with their with the stuff that they crank out, as opposed to a huge corporation like Fender that's cranking them out like muffins, and it's just mass production. They don't have the time. They just don't take the care. Let me just scroll down. I'm getting behind on the chat here. If I missed your question, please ask it again because I'm jumping up and down here. Leo says my guitar tech has been in the biz for 38 years. He's usually not impressed easily, but is a big fan of Sir. Says a lot. Same here. I mean, I'm not easily impressed by things that I feel are not well made. But I have to say that after owning that guitar for a long time, the Sir guitar, I've come to realize where the value is and why it costs more money. I still feel that there's got to be ways to produce a similar guitar, that won't cost you $3,500. And I hope that they find that way. And if it means making them overseas or whatever, I think you're still going to get good value for your money. And if you can save that money, I'm just amazed that this is where the prices have got, okay? But I understand why I like that guitar so much and why it stands above a lot of the other ones that I have. But that being said, I had a lot of issues getting the right sound out of that guitar because of the pickups that were in it. And that's not to say that the quality of the guitar is not good. It's great. And the pickups that were in it were very good. Original pickups I'm talking about now. But they just weren't what I was looking for in terms of taste, of sound. So for a long time, I shunned that guitar because I was playing other guitars because of the pickup configuration. But now I'm getting something that I really like out of that guitar, and it plays wonderfully. Another guitar that plays like butter. Jacob says he's got exactly the same painting pictures behind me. Awesome. We have the same taste, Jacob. Yeah, you know, I like, as soon as I saw that, I got a lot of comments about my wall art. A lot of people asked me where I got that. I don't remember. I bought it online somewhere. But I figured it was cool because I technically have all of those guitars. I have, I have a beautiful Strat, Sunburst Strat. I have the Les Paul here. I have the 335. We have a nice looking Telecaster there in Sunburst as well, and an acoustic guitar. So I said to myself, that's pretty cool. I have like the whole collection on the wall. It's been up there for a long time. I'm actually getting a little tired of it. I might actually put something else up there eventually, but I like it. I think it's kind of nice. Surfer by. The person that you hear snoring is my Pooch, my dog. She's right over there. I don't know if you can see a little clump of fur right there. That's her. That's her spot. She's always here. She's always with me, and she's bored to tears whenever I have these live shows. So she sleeps and she snores. Yeah, she's not a puppy, but she's 13 years old. Not a puppy at all. But she snores a lot. And she's going deaf. I can sneak up on her now and scare the beans out of her, and she doesn't realize I'm behind her. Before, her hearing was impeccable, and nowadays I think she's getting a little senile, poor thing. But she's my dog. I love her. She's always with me. She's my best friend, and she's allowed to snore, even during my show. I wouldn't let anybody else snore during my show. Hey, Uncle Ken. Good morning. Nice to see you, buddy. How you doing? Vox says, I sure would like one of their guitars. Yeah. What else? What else are we talking about, guys? By the way, in the meantime, okay, well, we got a comment here. Let me just share this. I just picked up a used Charvel DK24HH on Reverb, exploring it this weekend. Not sure how I feel about it yet. Beautiful guitar. That's one of my favorite guitars. I don't know about the 24 frets. I'm a fan. I'm not a big fan of 24 frets. I prefer the 22. But that model, the DK HH, is a great looking guitar. I really would like to own one of those, except I'm not a big fan of the colors. And I don't know why Charvel insists on making these freaky colors. Like, I don't know why they don't offer them in like regular colors, like a standard red, a black, a white. I don't know what other colors popular these days. They're always going for these non-colors and in-between colors that I don't really. Maybe it's a trend. I mean, the Silver Sky is the same. I didn't like the colors that they came out with on the Silver Sky, the SE models. Otherwise, I would have bought that guitar in a heartbeat. I love the baked maple neck on it. The HH configuration is great. I love the cuts on that guitar. It's really comfortable, the back of the neck and everything. A great looking guitar and a great playing guitar, I'm sure. I'm happy that they didn't put a Floyd Rose on there because Floyds are a pain. I only have a few Floyds on very select guitars that have to have a Floyd. But on that Charvel, I'm glad they didn't put a Floyd on it. I had another Charvel in the past, and I ended up selling it just because I didn't really bond with the Floyd on it. And even that one, I ended up buying it. I wasn't crazy about the color. It was a purple burst. It had a purple with like black around it. It was one of the more subdued colors that they were offering at the time, but I wasn't a big fan of that color either. I just bought it because that was the one that was the least flashy. But they do that all the time. I don't know why. It's a Charvel thing. But I'm keeping my eyes open for a used model like that one, and maybe if I find one in a decent color, or maybe if they release some new colors on that line, maybe I'll pick one up. Would be really cool. Jeff says, I've had the same great service with Sir. I got a used 2007 Classic S, nice guitar, been rewired, spoke to Sir, sent me original spec sheets and wiring diagram, recommended parts, and heel end truss rod adjuster. There you go. So I'm not lying, guys. We have other people that have had the same feedback from Sir, and that's the difference. That's the difference between maybe buying an import and something made in the U.S., something less expensive as opposed to something more expensive. But I honestly doubt you'd get the same service from a company like Gibson. And I don't want to knock Gibson. I know I often do, and I'm sorry, Gibson, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be hard to get that level of support. If I'm wrong, guys, and if you had the opportunity to actually speak to anybody from Gibson for whatever reason, for whatever issues, and you got excellent service, please let me know in the chat here. Yeah, dogs are the best. My dog is with me all the time. Yeah, they're amazing animals. Dogs are amazing animals. I'm a big dog person, and dogs are your best friend. They don't judge. They live in the moment. They're always happy to see you. They're amazing. They love you till their last breath, and that's why they're a man's best friend, right? I mean, I'd do anything for my dog. I probably do more for my dog than another human. I know that's mean to say, but it's probably true. Jacob says, I got mine from Hobby Lobby. It was $20 for the set. What are we talking about here? Sorry. Hobby Lobby. I missed that one. Sorry, guys, I'm falling behind on the chat here. I tend to blab a lot, as you know. Quicksilver says, I'm the same way with my cat. There you go. Animals, they just steal your heart away. Thanks for checking out the Fabric Top Strat. Yeah, Charles 75N. If you guys don't know, he actually posts videos as well on his channel. And Charles took the time to build a really cool looking fabric top guitar. It's a Strat, and he actually, for those of you who don't know, fabric tops are basically where you take a guitar body and you apply a fabric, beautiful fabric pattern to it, and then apply the finish coats on the guitar on top of that, and then level sand it, and it looks like a paint job when it's finished, but it's actually fabric. I think one of the first companies that was doing that was Ibanez. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know Ibanez did that at one point where they had the gems, the Steve Vai gems, and apparently Steve Vai himself said that the pattern on the guitar, which was like a floral pattern on the guitar, was actually he got that idea from his mom's curtains in his living room, and that's why he put that there. Anyways, Charles did an excellent job on this fabric top, and he's got a cool video on his channel, and maybe you want to check that out if you're interested in doing it yourself. I personally would never have the patience, Charles, to do what you did. Honestly, I have the patience for painting guitars, for building guitars, but fabric top, I think that would be a little bit beyond what I would be willing to try. But yours turned out fantastic, man. Congratulations on that. Mark says he sold my heart, his Hot Rod Deluxe. The cash is burning a hole in his pocket. Man, do I know how that feels. I know how that feels, man. You're already contemplating your next purchase. But, Mark, I've seen some of your gear there, and you have some really nice gear. You have a really nice amp and guitar and pedals, and you seem to be set. So I don't know what else you could possibly be itching to buy there. The Hot Rod Deluxe is a nice amplifier, but I think eventually everybody kind of outgrows it and searches for something just a little bit better. I had one way back. It wasn't the newer versions because at that time they didn't have. I think it was the version 3 at that time, if I remember correctly. And it's a solid amplifier from Fender, not that expensive. You see them all over the place. But I think the big issue with those, especially the one I had, because they didn't modify them yet. Now the versions that they have out now, they've tweaked them a little bit to make them better. But at the time, the big issue was that the volume knob on those guitars would go from like nothing to full blast in like a little millimeter worth of a turn. And that was a big problem because you weren't able to get the amp to work at the volume you wanted it to work. And a lot of people were not happy with the drive channel. And there wasn't much happening between the clean and the drive channel, like in terms of amazing sounds. So a lot of people use the clean channel on that amplifier and just use pedals with it, which works well. That's what I was doing with it as well. And let's face it, a lot of Fender amps have that issue where they have a really nice clean, but the drive is not great. And I don't know why Fender has not invested the time. I mean, they have their EVH line and whatnot, but I don't know why Fender, like the brand Fender itself, hasn't invested in more time in making amps that will be able to give you a nice clean and a decent drive. I know that with their Bass Breaker series that they have, they kind of tried to do that, and they have like some, and I had a Bass Breaker as well, and it wasn't a bad amplifier. I had the head version of that amp, the 15, and it wasn't a bad amp. It just, they still haven't gotten there yet. I think it's really, really difficult to get a nice clean sound and a nice drive sound out of the same amplifier. There's not that many companies that have actually done it really well at an affordable price. There's a lot of companies like, I'm going to say, Matchless, for example, that have amps that sound really amazing. They have a beautiful clean. They have a really nice drive channel on it as well. Well, not a channel, just the drive on it is really amazing. But those amps cost a fortune. Divided by 13 has a really nice one as well that can get you pretty much all of that. What else? There's Swart. There's a few other brands that have managed to do it, but not at an affordable price point. Like, I would love it if Fender would take the time to say, we're going to make a version of the Princeton and try and make it like what Mesa did with the Mark III. Because basically the Mark III was a souped up, hot rodded Princeton, right? If they could make, keep the Princeton clean, but give it, a mid control knob, a little bit more volume, and a good drive channel, they would have a kicking, beautiful amplifier. Everybody would be buying that, I'm telling you. That's why I ended up buying the Mark III at the time when I was younger, because I wanted a compact combo that had enough power to gig, enough flexibility, and a good clean and a good drive. The issue with that amp is that it's just too darn heavy, too darn loud, too complicated to use, and I would say, to me anyways, too brittle sounding. It didn't have that creamy sound that I wanted to get. Although at the time, people like Santana were using that amp, and everybody was like going gaga over those amps, and he managed to get a nice creamy sound out of it. Maybe it's just because I didn't master the tone controls on those amps, because those Mesa amps, especially the early ones, they're not like the amps today where you can just dial in what you want, right? And, the tone, turn it up, the bass, turn it down, and so on and so forth. All those controls interacted with each other. And especially on that Mark III, you were also able to pull out the knobs and pop the knobs in and out and be able to kind of do other things with it. And it was a very complicated amp and the sounds would change so much with just a minor tweak. I ended up selling that amplifier because I almost broke the windows in my house with it. It was so darn loud. The amp was so darn heavy. Like, honestly, when you would try to lift that amplifier, you would think it was bolted to the floor. I'm like, never mind. But honestly, they were built like tanks. These were the early ones where they were still kind of labeled by hand in the back and whatnot. And so if Fender would come up with a sort of a Mesa Boogie version of their Princeton, so almost like a souped up Princeton, would be fantastic. I don't have, like, today, if I had to spend money on a Fender amplifier, and I know a lot of you probably own Fender amplifiers, I don't know what I would get. I was looking at that, and I'm like, the deluxe reverb is nice, but it's got its limitations. It doesn't have effects loop. It doesn't have a mid control. It's very difficult to get any drive out of that amplifier. It's a one channel. So although it's a great amp and everybody should own a deluxe, I think it's limited. I have the Supersonic. I think I made the right choice. Although the Supersonic drive is not fantastic, it's better than most Fender amps. It's loud enough. It has the effects loop. It has the 2 channels. It's got the burn channel as well. There's a lot of good things about the Supersonic. So that's why I ended up keeping the Supersonic when I was ABing the Supersonic and the Deluxe. Although in the video you guys might not realize how good the Supersonic actually sounds because I had it dialed in kind of midway without too much tweaking to keep the comparison even. So then there's the Twin. The Fender Twin is a beautiful clean amplifier. If you're looking for cleans at loud volume, the Twin is it. But it's too darn loud in most scenarios, and it's not that great for drive. So what do you buy? What do you buy? And if you guys have a Fender amp that you really love, let me know what you guys think. I love the DeVilles are nice. I like the DeVilles a lot. And the Pro reverbs are good too, but they're big, not easy to carry. So what do? You almost have to go with another company to get the Fender sound with a good clean. I'm not a big fan of the Tweed sound because I think in the type of music that I play, it's not as flexible as what I would need. So Tweed to me is a little bit, let's just say, limited. On its own, if you're playing Stones and stuff like that, or you're playing specific types of music, it's fantastic. But other than that, you're kind of stuck. This is why I kind of always, flip-flop between amps and multi-effects units, because for the price of a pretty decent multi-effects unit, you get everything, right? So I've been seriously considering getting an Axe-Fx or something along those lines. There's a few other units that are out there, the Kemper, and there's other units that are available these days that, I'm thinking to myself, why spend so much money on an amplifier and get one sound when you can have a palette of sounds at your disposal, and you can get the cleans, you can get the drives, you can get everything out of one box that's easy to use, easy to carry, programmable. You have everything in one box, no cables, no nothing. And this is where we're at today. I think we're getting to the point where a lot of people are saying the same thing. They're like, what do? Do you spend, $3,500, $4,000 on one amplifier and get one sound? Or do you spend, I don't know, how much, what are the prices today for an Axe-Fx? Let's say, I don't know, $3,000? Get an Axe-Fx for $3,000, have everything, practically everything. Tone King is one of the, Tonefish mentions Tone King here. Tone King are one of the amps that I would consider, but they're too darn expensive, and I think the wait time are like a couple of years. So Tone King says Falcon Grande covers everything I need, plus the built-in attenuator. if I want Marshall gain, I use a pedal. Yeah, those Tone King amps are fantastic. Not really a big fan of the kind of the design of the amplifiers. They just look a little bit too retro for me. Maybe if they simplify that, you know. But I mean, in terms of sounds, they're fantastic. They're very expensive, and it takes a long time to get one. You hardly ever find one used, you know. But again, you're spending a lot of money for one amp, one amplifier, you know. Marky FX says, check out a Fender Super 60. I will do that, Mark. I'll do that. I'll check out the... And Charles says he loves his Princeton. Charles, I love Princetons too. They sound great. But again, they're not... You can't always use them in all the scenarios that you need. For home, they're fantastic. For playing live, not so much. Because you're basically limited in sound. You're limited in volume, let's say. What I meant, you know, you're not going to be able to crank that amp and keep it clean, you know. And you know, Magic Man brings up the Mesa Boogie. Okay, so the Mesa Boogie California Tweed is awesome. I looked at those amps. Trust me, Magic Man, I looked at all of the Mesa stuff. I've been buying Mesas since who knows when. I have a list as long as my arm of all the Mesa amps that I ended up buying. And eventually selling. You know, I didn't have. I don't know how to say this, but I kind of till now the only Mesa amp that I ended up really liking a lot was the Electrodyne because it was simple. It had a nice clean sound, had a nice Marshall-y tone to it, a great reverb, but I didn't like the combo. I actually owned the combo and then sold the combo and got the head. The head worked better with a different cabinet than what the combo came with. And it sounded better in my opinion. That was probably one of my favorite Mesa amps till today. The Lone Star I owned as well, which was good. But again, I always found something with them. The frequency or something, I don't know, it just didn't have exactly what I wanted, and I ended up selling them. And I'm still looking at the new Mesa amps because, you know, I'm always looking for something better. But again, I haven't found the one yet. So, and maybe I'm just being too picky. Tonefish says you can get every tone from a Helix LT, Best Buy in modeling. So that's another one, the Helix. I had the Head Rush, had the Boss units. I just never went full Monty with the really expensive stuff like the Axe FX and all that kind of stuff. Because the issue with the Axe FX is that, you know, when you're playing in a live situation, now you have to carry your Axe FX, a pedal board, if you want to switch your sounds live, then you have to have it amplified, so you got to play that through something. So either you have to carry a speaker or a power amplifier or something like that. I know the Kempers come with an amplifier built in. You can get those with an integrated amplifier. But the routing that you have, the ability to build your sounds and do complex stuff, you can do it all with an Axe FX, but it's really a deep dive into programming, you know. So at that point, you're spending most of your time programming stuff instead of playing stuff, which is the issue. You know, that's what I was finding myself doing all the time, even with these little units, because I'm very anal about trying to get the right sound. That you could spend hours on these things, you know, tweaking that sound, you know, and never happy because, you know, you come back to it a day or two later and you're like, I think I could still, you know, maybe squeeze a little bit more treble out of that, or, you know, bring down the presence a little bit. Constantly tweaking, you know. Yeah, Randy, a mini machete, kind of. You know, the machete that Fender came out with came and went so fast. A lot of people didn't even realize it was there. But a lot of people liked that that amplifier because it did have the drive. Lempu says, hey man, my Floyd Rose nut screw snipped in half and it's stuck in the wood of the neck. Oh man. hate when that happens. It's happened to me, dude. Okay. I'll tell you what you need to do. Here we go, guys. This is a lesson. Maybe you guys should listen to this because it applies to any kind of broken screw in a guitar or in anything, a piece of wood or whatever. First of all, take those screws that you have with your Floyd Rose, throw them in the garbage. Most of those screws that come with a Floyd Rose, especially if it's an import model, are pot metal screws that are garbage. They're going to snap on you, okay? Because you have to crank them down. Go to the hardware store, buy a good quality screw, maybe even a stainless steel one. Spend money for something good, and you won't have issues. It won't strip, and it won't snap on you, okay? Okay, now to deal with the broken screw, this is what you need to do. Don't mess with it too much because you're going to just make it worse. What you need to do is you got to find yourself a little tube. Here, I have a screw here, and I'll try and explain it to you visually. And you guys, if you guys never had this experience, it'll be something that you guys could maybe appreciate as well, okay? I don't have a perfect way of showing you this, but let's say this is a screw and the head snapped off. It's gone. So now you have your screw sticking out or embedded in the wood of your guitar, and you got to take it out. How do you do that? You got to find yourself a little tube, a metal tube, and they're not easy to find, but you can find them somewhere. You got to find a little tube that's actually slightly bigger than your screw. So the ideal, let's say this is your tube. Let's pretend this plastic thing is a metal tube. You want the tube to be able to fit in to your screw, okay? You take your screw, not your screw, you take your metal tube, and you're gonna take the tip of the screw and you're gonna just mar it. Take a little saw, like a hacksaw, and just make little cuts in the tip of that tube. So you're basically trying to dig teeth into it, just one side of it, okay? Then you're going to take that tube, you're going to chuck it into your drill. Chuck it into your drill. Once it's in your drill, you're going to put your drill in reverse. So you're not going to roll clockwise, you're going to roll counterclockwise. And then you're going to drill over the screw. And what that's going to do is it's going to actually drill right over your screw like this, all the way down. And you're going to be able to pull out that screw, the whole screw with a little bit of wood, not much, but it's going to make a really nice clean hole, okay? And once you have the hole there and it's clean, you're going to fill up that hole with a dowel. Hopefully you can get one made of maple or something. Glue, wood glue, dowel it, cut it off, sand it smooth, and you can basically re-drill the hole and put in a new screw. But you want to have good quality screws, guys. I don't know how many times I've thrown away screws right off the bat. I get stuff from China. I look at those screws. They're nothing but trouble. Throw it, chuck it away. Don't waste your time. I've had that happen to me in the headstock. I actually had a Strat that I put in a string T in there, and the little stupid screw. You know how small those screws are. Just like boop, broke in half, screw stuck in there. Pain in the ass. So I ended up doing exactly what I described to you, and it came out like a piece of cake, and it worked. Okay, so that's the tip for today. Keep that in your in the file in case you ever have an issue. Magic Man says, Tony, you could buy my 2-Rock Crystal 50 off of me. Perfect tone, and it's surprisingly quiet for 50 watts. Well, why are you selling it, Magic Man? If it's so good, why are you selling it? There's... Tonefish says, Axe FX is good for metal tones. I prefer Helix for cleans. And Mark EFX says, I recently checked out a Mesa Boogie Express 550 112 combo. I'm getting a bit gassy. I did check out those Mesa Boogie Expresses for a while, the 550s. Again, I felt that they were just a little too aggressive sounding for what I'm looking for. I'm basically looking for an amp that does it all. And to be honest, I'm going to answer Jeff's question in a minute here. Jeff has a good question as well, but I'll be with you on that question right after this one. But from the amps that I have here today, okay, and I think I have a pretty nice collection in terms of the sounds that I want, okay. I'll just point to them so you guys know, okay. So for those of you who don't know, this up here, how am I pointing? That guy there, Brunetti Plexi Man, made in Italy, great sounding amplifier, very flexible, does the Marshall thing, has a simple clean. It's not a sparkly clean like you would get on a Fender, but it's got a nice clean platform for pedals. Works really well. Fender Supersonic, I think a lot of you know what the Supersonic sounds like. Has a really nice clean, very punchy sounding amplifier. Drives, but you can get some nice drive tones out of the clean side of that amplifier, okay? Then in the back here, Marshall. That's the Marshall Studio 20. Fantastic Marshall sound. I mean, it's a great Marshall sound, lower wattage. It still gets extremely loud, but it's actually a good pedal platform because it's clean. You can actually stay clean for a long time. If you want to get like distortion out of that amplifier, you got to crank it. It is going to be loud, but you can do it, okay? But I usually take that and then run pedals through it to actually get it to the next level. Underneath that, we have the Friedman Dirty Shirley. That amplifier is like amazing for like classic rock, for that driven Marshall sound. It sounds amazing, but it won't necessarily clean up 100%. It's always going to have a little hair on it. And then you don't see it here, but I have the Jared James Nichols Black Star. Honestly, I would say for the money and for what I'm looking for right now, the Black Star stuff does it. A lot of people don't like Black Star for whatever reason, but that amplifier, and it's been a long time since I actually bought that amplifier. I never actually did a sound review on that amplifier, and I don't know why I didn't. I just never had time, I guess, but I probably should. That amplifier, even after all these years that I've owned it, does a very nice, convincing Marshall sound out of it. Has a nice clean channel. It's not a Fender clean, but it's clean enough to be able to do most things. It's got multiple channels. It's got a switch for the wattage. You can go from 20 to 2 watts or whatever it is. It's got the direct out. It's got the USB out in the back of it. It's got the foot switches. It's got the what's it got? It's got the multi-effects, sort of the send returns, so you can actually put your pedals in there. It does a lot of stuff really, really well, and it's like you can probably get one used under $1,000. For me, that I kind of like that Marshall sound, I find it's a great amplifier. And, can you get really nice crunch and drive out of that? You definitely can. It's got a digital reverb, okay? So the reverb, it is what it is. It doesn't sound bad, but I normally use my reverb pedals anyway, instead of going through the spring reverb. So you have a heck of a lot of amp for not that much money. And you can get a lot of the sounds that I'm getting out of these other amps from that particular amp. So the flexibility-wise and cost, I think it's still a great buy. Now, Jeff says, speaking of one amp, Tony, if you could only keep one of your existing collection, which one would it be? And therein lies the issue. So honestly, I probably, at this point, it's a very difficult question because I don't play one type of music and depending on what I need. But if I had to say, in terms of cost, in terms of flexibility, in terms of overall tone, you guys are probably going to think I'm crazy, but I probably would end up keeping the Black Star. Portability, not expensive. You can get pretty wide variety of tones. Are they, as good as one particular tone from one of these amplifiers? I'm going to say probably not. Close. And you could definitely tweak with an EQ and some pedals. Definitely. Are you going to get that Fendery clean? No. But you're going to get a nice clean. Are you going to get that, Friedman dirty? Probably not as nice as the Friedman for sure, but pretty close. So if I had to cover a lot of ground and I didn't have a huge budget, I'd probably end up keeping that particular amp for now. And that might change. If you have the money to spend on a very expensive amplifier and you want to have something that has one great tone, absolutely get one of the other ones. But it's one of those things where you got to think of flexibility. Music Man says Black Star is just hit and miss for me. Some sound great, some sounds meh. I don't know what it is. I understand. I totally understand. A lot of the HT stuff from Black Star I didn't like, and although they're all kind of based on that, right? So even the JJN is kind of based on that. But it's tuned a little bit differently. And I haven't tried swapping out speakers and whatnot. I did plug that into other speaker cabinets that I have, and they sound really good. I mean, putting that combo into my 4x12 here sounds amazing. But I understand what you're saying, where it's just like, it's close but no cigar. The Artist series that they've come out with sound really good, I think. And are simple. But I understand, a lot of people don't like that sound. I mean, you're looking for something a little different. If you're a Fender guy, you're probably not going to want that Black Star. I'm more of a Marshall guy, but I do appreciate the Fender clean. Randy has a great point. Amps for me are like women. They don't have to do everything just what I want. Yeah, and that changes every day, right, Randy? I mean, what we want today is not what we want tomorrow. But it's a really good point. I love that. I love that line. Dan of New Jersey says Two Rock. Two Rock is Fender Dumble kind of sound. I haven't played a Two Rock. I did have gas for one a long time ago. Never actually bought one. Dan says maybe Friedman Runt, but Tony, you now be looking at the next tier amp if you want more from what you have. Yeah, I know. Exactly. So what do I do? Right now, honestly, I'm not considering buying anything yet because if I do, in terms of amp, I'm gonna have to get rid of something here, and I really don't feel like some of the other amps that I have here deserve to go yet because they just do really cool stuff. Surferby says I bought a Blackstar HT20 Mark II for a song at a music go round. No one wanted it. It's one of my favorite amps. That's the other thing about the Black Stars. They're not expensive. You can get them for pretty cheap. And Beavis Christ says, I don't understand all of the Black Star hate. Beavis, I think really the reason why Black Star gets hate is because the way their circuits are designed, they're kind of designed like a pedal. So you're basically getting the distortion, the overdrive sound, not necessarily completely from the tubes, but it's almost like they're building in a pedal into the amp to get that sound. But in my opinion, who cares? Honestly, if the amp sounds good, I don't care how you're doing it. Design it however you want. I don't care. For me, I can actually honestly take that amp without any pedals and pretty much have all the sounds I want. And I know that's something that Jared James Nichols was saying in his video when he was demoing the amp. And I didn't really believe him at the time because, there's a lot of hype going on. But, he was going into the amplifier straight from his guitar, no pedals, no nothing, and he was getting all these sounds. And I had to check it out because if I can do that, we've all been there where we're playing a gig and something fails. Like if your power supply fails on your pedal board when you're at a gig, you're up shit's creek, let's face it, right? But if you have an amplifier where you can get the dirt and the clean and everything from the particular amp without any pedals, you got a backup, So even if you're not using pedals, or even if you want to use pedals, Something happens, you have a backup. And that's one of the ways I actually determine if I really like an amplifier, is if it takes pedals well, and whether or not the drive on the amp sounds as good as my pedal. Let's say my best drive pedal that I normally want to use. If I can get it directly from the amp, I'm sold, you know. Magic Man says the 2-Rock would pair perfectly with that Dirty Shirley. Just saying. Magic Man, you're really trying to convince me to buy the 2-Rock, aren't you? Give me a shout out if you can. Let me know how much you're looking for. I'm just curious. Maybe we can talk. Not that I'm actively looking for a 2-Rock. I don't think I am, but you never know. I might be convinced. Hey, Mike. Nice to see you, buddy. Mike Davids is here. Says good morning. Happy 100th show. Thank you. Thank you. Lampu says, thank you for the info, Master. Unfortunately, I already used the neck for target practice. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah. You should have emailed me sooner, buddy. Try and just make the best out of it. I don't know. Wood filler, lots of dowels. You could probably still save it if you know what you're doing. So D-Max says, I run a HT Stomp into a power amp in on a Boss Katana, and it can give me great modeled amp tones at a much lower price than any one of those higher priced amps. Great Fender tones. There you go. I actually $2,700. Yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. Randy says the small Lanny seems to be a bit Fender-like. And Quicksilver says Upchurch the new Cub amps. The Bad Cat stuff I've been looking at as well, but I'm not convinced on those yet. I'm really lusting over a matchless amp. I found one, not cheap. Didn't have reverb on it though, so I don't know. Magic Man says, have you tried any PRS amps? I have not. They don't usually have a lot of PRS amplifiers in stores around here. I don't know. There's not many that actually sell the PRS amps here, so I haven't had an opportunity to try one. But just from what I've heard on videos, I'm not. I can't say I'm a big fan of the less expensive ones. Some of the more expensive ones sound good, but I don't know. The only one I think that I like is the little lunchbox one that they have. But that's more for like gainy sounds, not for everything. The question here, have you ever had a Boss Katana? I did not buy a Boss Katana. I tried the Boss Katanas. They sound good for what they are in terms of a transistor amp. I did have a PV Classic, the red stripe ones, which are similar in my opinion to the Boss Katanas in terms of sound. Those sound great, by the way. They have a lot of great sounds. And they sound really good. Bang for the buck, I think they sound amazing, actually. For anybody that's looking to buy a transistor type amp, the PV or the Katana, both. The Bandit is the amp I'm referring to when I'm speaking about PV is the Bandit, red stripe. You can get those for about $200, $250, $280, something around there. And the Katanas are nice choices for home use and whatnot. A lot of people love those. Larry says, I'm thinking of getting a powered speaker to run my Helix through and ditching my amps. That's the way to do it, man. Get yourself an FR speaker, Headrush or any other brand that you think is good, and you're in business, man. And you can definitely take that and go and you can rehearse with that and you'll be okay. You can actually buy two and run them in stereo, and then you have like cool stereo effects. You're going to have cool panning effects and modulation effects. That would be the way to go, in my opinion. The only issue with those wedges, those powered wedges, is that they're very directional. So you're going to typically have them facing you. So if you're playing in a rehearsal, the other guys are going to have a hard time hearing you. That's the only issue. So you might have to also put it through the PA to be heard, you know. But works well. A lot of people are doing that now. Quicksilver says you can't find those PV Bandits as much anymore. Red Stripe. You can find the new ones that people claim are not as good, but they are. I don't know how much of a difference there would be if it's not a Red Stripe. I think it's just because now they're being made overseas. Are they being made in China? I'm losing track of who's making what where. That's probably why they're saying they're not as good. Yeah, the PRS MT15 is the one that I was referring to in terms of the PRS amp with the gain. I think the gain on that amp is really nice. The clean, I'm not sure how nice it is. But if you say it's pretty good, Magic Man, then I know they're not expensive. I've seen them used for not that much money. I've never bought an expensive amp, yet I'll buy an expensive guitar. Not sure why. Guitars are personal to me, maybe. Yeah, I mean, you're basically touching the guitar, right? It has to be comfortable. It's got to look nice. An amplifier is more utilitarian, but you know, it's a shame to have a really nice guitar and a so-so amplifier, because then you're not getting, in my opinion, the full experience from your guitar. Rico says he loves his Fender GTX50. So, you know, you got all kinds of different flavors like out there. Tonefish says my Helix is my PC interface running two 8-inch monitors. Sounds great with stereo effects. So you can't see them, but I have a set of Mackeys here, also with 8-inch speakers. And yeah, I can run the multi-effects in stereo through those things, and it sounds fantastic in the room. You know, you can actually, it's hi-fi sounding, really. But the reason why I like to run it through the Headrush powered FR speaker is because I want the sounds as I program them to sound good in a live situation. If I program them through the speakers, then I'm playing in a live situation and I'm not playing through the same setup. It's not going to sound exactly the same. This way, it guarantees that I'm taking everything from A to B to Z with me when I go and play. So what I program in my multi-effects unit is what's going to come out of my speakers. And there's going to be no surprises along the way. Mark says he has a Katana I use for acoustic gigs to feed an electric signal into. Yeah, that's the other thing is having a nice acoustic sound, right? You also, if you're playing a gig and you're going with an electric guitar and an acoustic guitar, you want to be able to have a nice clean platform to be able to play that acoustic guitar through. Some of these multi-effects units do a really convincing acoustic guitar sound. The Ampero has some really nice ones in there as well. And Mark lets his kids use them. That's the other thing is, like, you know, if it's a transistor type amp, there's not as many risks of it like blowing up or burning the house down or something like that. So your kids could play with it as well. Sean Adams wants to know any thoughts on the Prs Silver Sky. I guess, Sean, you just logged in. We had a whole discussion of the Silver Sky in the beginning, towards the beginning of this live stream. So if you want to maybe later on just go back and listen to that. We were talking about that earlier. A lot of people are still talking about the Silver Sky. I gotta say, the hype kind of died down very quickly on that. Maybe it's because there's not a lot of stock or inventory. Maybe there's not a lot of people able to get their order. I'm gonna wait till the unit, the guitar, you know, starts popping up in the wild on the used market and see at that point, you know, if I still feel like I want to grab one. I gotta say, my enthusiasm for it kind of died really, really quickly. But again, I haven't tried the import model yet, so I don't know. I'm keeping my mind open. I don't want to be biased yet. I want to get an opportunity to actually play one and see. I'm going to have to visit my local store and see if they have any in stock, but I doubt it. Even the guitars in China are made in China, and they get to charge more to the Chinese locals. Gibson business model. Interesting. Just scrolling down the last couple of comments here. Randy says, if I was 50 years younger, I would have a Katana, a Squire, a Katana and a Squire Strat, and that's it. And stop wasting time, right, Randy? Stop wasting time and start practicing. You're going to improve your tone tremendously if you use that approach. So watching Rich Bishkoff on his channel, he runs his Helix into the power amp and his Katana, and that's his live rig. Yeah, you can do that. You can bypass the preamp section of your amplifier and to do that. But I find that the Katana's speaker is not a flat response speaker, so it's still going to give you some coloration, but that doesn't really matter if you're playing through that all the time, right? Because at that point you just program your sounds to take that into consideration and you're good to go. But if you're taking if he's taking his Helix then to a live situation and he's not playing through his Katana, it's not going to be the best sound. It's not going to be tweaked, is what I mean. Paul says, I have an American-made PV Bandit 65, paid $275 US for it, built like a tank. It's my backup. I use it as a vocal monitor for rehearsals. It's great to have a transistor amp like that just in case, if you don't have a backup, for sure. It kind of blew me away, that amplifier. I don't know why PV hasn't come up with a newer version of that. You know, maybe they don't want to mess with a good thing. Leo says, I had a Naomi Laney 100 watt head some years ago. Never got a chance to really crank it, though, but sounded great even at low volumes. Hey, Alex, nice to see you, buddy. Alex2112. Tony, I love watching your show Sunday morning. It's great. Take care. You too, buddy. Thank you. Thank you for coming and participating. And those nice words as well. Magic Man says, I've been playing my 2-rock with a Squire. Sounds great. I think a 2-rock will generally sound good with everything. I could be wrong, Magic Man, but I think it could definitely sound great. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, Sean from In the Blues also had a 2-rock way back when. And I think he sold it rather quickly. I don't know why he didn't keep it or didn't like it, or maybe he couldn't justify the cost, or maybe it was a little bit too similar to the sounds he was getting out of his Fenders and he didn't really want to keep it lying around. But I remember he sold it relatively soon after. And Bob's Bitchin says, the old Trainer bass amps, YB1s, are good for guitar. Those are kind of the Canadian Marshalls, I would say. A lot of people refer to those amplifiers as the Canadian version of Marshall. Alex2112, best screen name ever. Yeah, that's true. I guess I'm assuming you're a Rush fan. Just putting that out there. Maybe I'm wrong. You know what I started to do, guys, and maybe I'm crazy, but I thought it would be an interesting exercise. I started listing out all of the gear that I bought in chronological order throughout history that I can remember, because there's a lot of stuff that went through my hands that I can't even remember, to be honest with you. But when something pops into my mind, I add it to the list, and I kind of check. I'm compiling the list of equipment gear. as well as how much I either paid for it or how much I estimate it was worth at the time. Just to see at the end of the day the tally on how much stuff I actually spent time and money on and what it was. And I'm telling you, man, I'm not even like through the list. I'm probably not even halfway through the list. And there's so much stuff. And I'm like, holy mackerel, I never realized how much stuff came and went throughout the years. This is what I have compiled so far, guys. I don't know if you can see it. So this is my list here. It's kind of small. You can't really read it. But that's where I've gotten to so far. So you can see that. These are like everything from guitars, amps. I haven't thrown in pedals yet because honestly, I probably would only remember a fraction of the pedals that have come and gone. But I'm going to try to make this as complete as possible. And maybe I'll keep this as a master list, and every time I get something else, I'll add to it. So I got to include multi-effects units. I got to include pedals. I got to include a lot of other stuff as well, even basses and acoustic guitars and stuff like that. But it will be fun to see how much money has come and gone through the years. But I have to say that I've been very frugal, and most of the time it's the same money kind of perpetuating itself. Leo says, have you tried Henderson's new Rush beer yet? Seems to be only available in Canada. I have not tried it yet. I should try to find where I can buy that. It's definitely not in my local supermarket yet. I guess you would have to get it, find out where it's being distributed. But you know what? I'm going to try and get it for next show, and I'll give you my opinion on it. Have you tried it, Leo? Rush beer. I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping they do really well with it. Why not? Tonefish says, John Cordy did a 2-Rock versus Helix video and shows how he has the Helix set up. I copied it and have been playing with it. Sounds amazing. We're getting there, guys. I'm telling you, the modeling stuff is getting really, really good. If it keeps up at that pace, I'm thinking within the next 3 or 4 years, man, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people playing amps anymore. I hate to say it, but I'm telling you, it's getting really good. Jeff says, the old PV kit was pretty good. I've got a late 80s Backstage Plus 35 watt solid state 1x10 with the spring reverb tank, and it still sounds great. I had a couple of classics, the PV classics, the tube ones. I had one with 212. I had one with a 112, which I modded. The 112 was kind of like, I really wanted it to be able to get like the Fender cleans, and it always fell a little bit short. It's almost like it wasn't as clean as a Fender, and the drive wasn't as drivey as I wanted it to be, but it was great with pedals. Sean says, no Fenders for me. Love their amps and pickups though. So you love the Fender amps and you love the pickups, but you have no Fenders. So why not? Leo says they deliver. All right, cool. If they deliver, I'm going to place an order. I gotta do that. Yeah, I gotta do that. I'm on it. Larry says, kind of off topic, but one of the best things I bought was the Transcribe software for learning songs. I use it almost every day. I did try that software a long time ago, actually, and it does work pretty nicely. I gotta say, it helps you figure out a lot of songs if you need to. It's a little simplistic, doesn't always transcribe 100% accurately, but it does get you in the ballpark. It's true. Yeah. I haven't checked it out lately. Maybe they've gotten better over the years. It's been a while. Leo says no shipping to USA yet, unfortunately. Okay, well I'm gonna take one for the team. I'll buy one, and I'll see if I can actually get it and for the next live show. And maybe what I'll do, maybe if I can, I don't know if I can even do this if I'm allowed to ship liquids, but maybe to the winner of this guy, maybe I'll include a can of the beer with the order. I don't know, with the thing. What do you guys think? Would that be cool? As an added like bonus. Magic Man says, I'll never give up on tubes. We don't want to give up on tubes. I mean, I love tubes. There's nothing like playing a nice amplifier, going directly in and getting the sounds that you want out of it. I agree 100%. And I think that is ultimately, the initial love we had when we're young and we're playing guitar. It was that sound. But, it's getting to the point where things are getting so expensive and we have so much flexibility at our fingertips. It's always enticing to kind of, you're kind of fighting it all the time. You're kind of like, all right, one or many, one or many. That's the argument that's going on in the noggin most of the time. Henderson Brewery deliver within California, California? Are we talking California or Canada? According to their website. But no, okay, you're talking about Canada. Okay. So they deliver. Okay. I wonder how much they charge for delivery at this point. Interesting. Jeff says, concentrate on what you have saved when you get a deal, not what you have spent. I'm going to use that with my wife next time we have a discussion about gear. Yeah. I tend to do that. She does that with me all the time. She's like, but honey, it was on sale. That's her main line. So I use the same line. All right, Leo. Maybe if I can do it, I'll do it. If I can ship it, I'll ship it. I'll see. I don't know what the rules are. I think they don't usually like to ship liquids, but I can try. Yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to ship alcohol to the States, though. So if the winner happens to be in the States, not sure that would fly. I would have to find out. Tonefish says, I think with my luck, the beer would pop in shipping and ruin the effects unit. I thought about that already. I would probably put it in a double bag it in a Ziploc bag. That way, even if it should open, it would stay within the bag, But you're right. There is a risk of it getting ruined, and I would hate for that to happen. Gary says, my oldest daughter's 54. Wow. Well, good for her. Good for her. You started young, Gary. Awesome. Leo says, if Canada customs agent don't drink it first. Yeah, that's true. That's precisely what might happen. Wayne says, anyone else thinks Spotify be in real trouble if other big names jump in with Joni and Neil? This is something I was discussing with my wife this morning. I don't think that's gonna bother them, honestly. Look, Spotify spent $100 million to get Joe Rogan to switch from YouTube to Spotify. Good for Joe. He deserves it. Run all the way to the bank. This whole thing's going to blow over. And if you've invested $100 million in somebody, you're not going to just roll over. And although I love Neil, younger generations, how many of the younger generations actually are listening to Neil Young and Joni Mitchell at the time? I think, what would really probably be an issue is if Nickelback would threaten to put more of their music on Spotify. Then I think there would be an issue. I'm only kidding, guys. If there's any Nickelback fans out there, I'm sorry. Okay, I don't mean to offend anyone. Sean says Fender fretboards too narrow, the quality control nowhere near Sir or Prs. All right, I get it. I don't find the fretboards too narrow. And if I compare my Sir pretty much on par with my Fender. So maybe you just like the wider neck options on the Sirs or the PRSs. I'm okay with it. I get it. I get it. Speaking of modelers, NUX is also releasing the Amp Academy shortly. Not sure when. Interesting. All right, so I didn't know that. Just learned something today, so I should look up. I should do some research on that. Probably a dumbed down version of the MG30. It also has pedals apparently. All in a pedal casing. Okay, interesting. Probably going to be what, I have a feeling it's probably going to be what TC Electronic did with their unit. I don't know if you guys remember, they came out with a big unit that had like a bunch of modeling effects in one unit. I don't think it worked really well for them. And in the past, other companies have done that, where they have like units that are all in one. Whenever there's an all-in-one configuration, it's always limiting because you're never going to have all of the sounds to your liking, and you're always going to be like, oh man, you know, I like the drive, but I don't like the chorus effect, or vice versa. So you're always going to be stuck. In the past, in the early days, I remember Ibanez and also other companies were making the units so that you can actually have a bass and swap in modules that you were able to then build, let's say, your own interface with your own pedal platform. But then it kind of defeats the purpose. I mean, you're kind of limited to buying pedals from that particular brand because it's going to fit into the actual interface. Honestly, guys, I think individual pedals are still the way to go. Tried and true, and you have the most flexibility. The only advantage with these units is that you don't have all the cabling and noise associated with additional cables and stuff to fail, which is good. Usually have a cleaner sound, but not always. Randy says the cleans on the modelers always seem oddly brittle, thin, lacking, like a beautiful lady with a flat butt. Yeah, I think it's, but again, I think the modelers that they're coming out with today, with the added processing power, are getting better. I agree with you on the earlier ones. I think I honestly felt the same way. They were never 100% the same, not as rich, full, not as 3D sounding, kind of flat, you know. But I agree with you that the new ones are getting pretty good. And I think it's due to, you know, the processing power, how much processing power they can squeeze into these units now. Makes a big difference. Cool Tunes Made Easy says, purchased the PV Classic 20 head yesterday. Hopefully works out. So far has great cleans. So platform is set. The Classic, the PV Classic is a great platform. You know, it does a lot. It does an awful lot for the amount of money that they cost. So I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Steve G says, congrats on the 100. Thank you, dude. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And Quicksilver says, I've been considering using this whole thing as an excuse to switch to Apple Music. I've been on Apple Music for a long time, and I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it. I like the no commercial thing. I like having all of the freaking, you know, music library that's ever existed at my fingertips. It's crazy when you think about it. I used to buy CDs on a regular basis, almost, if not on a daily basis, at least a weekly basis. I used to come back with CDs. You can't see it here, but I have a library of hundreds, if not thousands, of CDs here, which are rotting over there. I don't know what to do with them. Nowadays, you know, everything's in my phone. Any weird, obscure song I could ever imagine, bingo, I have it in a matter of seconds. It's crazy, but I'm happy to have it. I build my set lists in Apple Music so that I can actually rehearse. I just put it on a loop, or just shuffle them and play along with them when I'm practicing. It's great. There's so many things you can do. And I know you can do it for free too, but then there's commercials and whatnot, which I don't have time for. Steve G wants to know if there's any good suggestions for 7-string guitars. I'm not a 7-string player, Steve, so I can't help you with that. But perhaps, I don't know, maybe Fat Philosopher, if he's still here, might have a couple of suggestions, or anybody else. I'm not really sure. And Jeff says, I've always been a Neil Young fan, but he's way off the mark on this. He's been happy to share the Spotify platform with Gary Glitter and Rolf Harris, but not Joe Rogan. Yeah, I don't even want... You know what? I mean, look, Neil Young, as far as what he's done, is amazing. He's a great artist, proud Canadian, activist when it comes to, in the environment. He's been, converting these gas-guzzling classic cars into electric cars, and he's done a lot for different organizations. But he's been off the mark in a couple of things. He actually backed a company not long ago. I forget the name of the company that was supposed to change the face of music. They came out with a sort of an MP3 player that had like better quality, uncompressed music, and he was backing them and hoping to get this thing off the ground. It didn't go anywhere because the interface just wasn't mature. It was difficult to get songs on, very limited in terms of how much songs it could carry, wasn't streamable. I mean, you can't compete with companies like Apple. You can't compete with companies like Spotify and stuff. So, he means well, but sometimes I don't know. Maybe he doesn't think things all the way through. I'm not sure. Quicksilver says, Nuex is using the casing of the Verdugo series, i.e. Atlantic dual time. I think the rest of the modeling is accessible via software. I saw a demo of the Soldano Slow 100 in the Nuex. Okay, so maybe... oh, I see. Okay. So perhaps what they're doing then is they're doing sort of what TC Electronics is doing now with their tone prints. So perhaps you can actually program different sounds. Is that it? I got to do more research on this. I don't know. I will have to look at this Quicksilver. This is news to me. So give me some time to look into that. It should be interesting. And Alan says Leo Gibson has a video on YouTube of the new X Amp Academy. All right, so we'll check that out. Keith says, hey, Tony, have you seen that Moore guitar? You can load off your phone from an app, and the guitar holds 4 presets, can even change the tone of the pickup from the app. Interesting. Yeah, I think I did come across that one. I mean, it's an interesting idea. It's an interesting concept. But at the end of the day, all these things that interface with devices, especially phones, the technology changes and evolves so quickly that they become obsolete really, really fast. So I usually avoid anything that is inherently tied to a phone or something else. If it can't work on its own, I usually avoid it because I just feel that it's destined to be obsolete really quickly. Magic Man says, I watched my entire generation steal all of their music. It's sad. I was part of that generation. Napster. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that everybody was downloading music, and Apple was actually encouraging it with their MP3 players with the hard drives, right? I had the 500 gig one. Now I think it was full of music. Like, what do you do with CDs today? Like I would hate to throw them away, but who's gonna want to buy a CD? They would make a great coaster, I guess. Cool Tunes Made Easy says, what amp head is that to your right? Cream color. So this guy there, that's my Brunetti Plexi, man. Brunetti is an Italian brand. I bought that from Italy. Fantastically built and really great sounding head. That was the only head that I ever played with the band where they told me I had the Holy Grail. Imagine. For all these years, I've been playing with the same guys for 10 years, and just recently I started playing that one, and they're like, dude, you had the Holy Grail. That day you had the Holy Grail. So it's a great amp. It really is. Yeah, Quicksilver. Brunetti Plexi, man. And they're actually not that expensive. Check them out. There's other great videos on YouTube where there's people playing those amps. They sound fantastic. Okay. A lot of people are talking about the 7-string guitars. I only played the 7-string guitar once, and I didn't like the feel of it. The dual time pedal's coming. It's coming, Quicksilver. I have it. I pulled it out. It's on the roster. I'm gonna have that for you guys not too long now. Don't worry. It's a great pedal. It's a cool pedal. Dual time pedal is very let's just say very inspirational and very unique in the sense that it will allow you. It allows you to create delay settings that will surprise you. It you know, if you're looking for something that will be able to offer something that not planned, like, you know, it's hard to describe. You'll see when I do the video what I mean by that. It's because it mixes up the time, and it's not a cut and dry delay pedal, and it allows you to create very organic sounding delays that you can use to inspire new ideas. It's really cool. Ed says, I remember when Joni and Neil were all about free speech. That's how old I am. I saw a picture of Joni recently. She's old. She's old. She used to be really nice looking when she was younger, but everybody's getting older, man. Steve G says, hang them from the ceiling. So you're referring to my CDs. Or hang them from my rearview mirror of my car or something like that, maybe. You know, like we used to do in the old days. Yeah, that dog sure can sleep. Yeah, absolutely. She sleeps most of the day now. She deserves it. She's done her time chasing squirrels. She needs to rest. Plus it's winter here. What else are you gonna do? I agree with Dan. Nothing like great head. Dan, be good. Be good. You guys. Yeah, the tech does move fast. That's why I never buy the first generation of anything. Yeah, absolutely. No, man, I didn't give up on that. I didn't give up on the dual time. No, I still have it. Thoughts on the Dr. Z amps? Never played through one. They sound really good. Some of them, in my opinion, for what I'm looking for, hit and miss. Some of them sound really good, but are very dialed into one specific sound. So if you're not into that particular one, that particular tone, you might be limited and very expensive. I don't know what the wait time is on those amps at this point, but I think they're pretty expensive. Cornerstone Pedals is another great Italian company built by a husband and wife. Interesting. I should check those out. Greetings from San Francisco. Hey, Joe. I was just telling everybody here earlier today that that's on my bucket list. Going to California and specifically San Francisco is on my bucket list. I'm hoping to maybe do that soon, like very soon, maybe this summer even. Okay, guys, you know what time it is. We've been chatting here for 2 hours, and I think it's time for me to say goodbye. I really had a great time talking to you guys. By the way, for those of you that have been tuning in, I got one of these. I ended up finally getting my compressor pedal. I was gonna get the other one. I was gonna get the Keeley. That didn't work. It fell through. I ended up getting this one. I'm still playing around with it. Seems pretty nice so far. I will have to do a review for you guys on this one as well. That's the SP compressor from Exotic. And now finally I have my compressor back on my board, and that's going to be a nice thing to have. It's going to round out the sound ever since I got rid of my cheapy compressor pedal recently. Surferby says Brunetti Plexi 50 watt on eBay right now for $1,500. Yeah, not that expensive. Well worth it, man. If you're looking for that Marshall tone and you want a Marshall tone in a small box that has a switch, you can go to 50 to 5, which a regular Marshall can't do. This one has 2 channels. It's got a hot rod channel, it's got a regular channel, and it's got a clean. Not really a clean channel, but you can switch between. Great effects loop in the back as well. Built like a tank. Great pickup. Not pickups. Tubes in it. Great quality foot switch as well. $1,500 is a steal, honestly. You can get a Marshall Studio 20 also for about the same price, but you're getting none of those features. You're getting a 1-channel amp. You're getting none of the different variations in terms of what you can switch through, and it does a very convincing, very nice hot rodded Marshall as well as a classic Marshall as well. So I'm backing the Brunetti stuff, man. Can't go wrong with it. I think a lot of people, more and more people, do not play the Brunetti stuff because you can't get them here. You can't demo them here. But if you guys would be able to demo that amplifier here, you buy one. And actually, I never actually did a playing demo of that amplifier either. So I have a lot of shit to do, man. I got a lot of stuff that I got to do for you guys. So I'll do that too. I did a review, just a overview of what the features are on that amp, but I never actually did a playing review on it. But I did play that amp on a couple of samples that I did for guitars and whatnot. I just don't remember which ones are which, so I can't point you to that specific one. But it's a great amp. Fantastic, in fact. Quicksilver says, I'm building a new X pedal board. I think I picked up the Ace of Tone, Fireman Distortion, and Masamune Comp and Boost pedal. Cool, interesting. Tell me how they sound all together. I like the Fireman. It's a nice sounding drive pedal, if you like the modern drive. I will wear flowers in my hair if I go to San Francisco. I will do that. Thank you for all the congratulations on the 100th episode. Don't forget, guys, we're going to be doing a draw, so stay tuned for the next video. And I hope one of you guys that are always here on Sunday win that. All right, guys, stay well. Stay tuned for the giveaway video. Please do what you need to do to enter into that. I'll give you the details on that shortly. And we'll catch each other next Sunday live. If you guys want to join me, I will be there next Sunday to do the draw. And at the same time, stay tuned for the videos that are going to be coming up this week. All right, guys? Thank you. Thumbs up to everybody there. See you soon.